Hello everybody, Lawrence Fleming here again. I apologize for my last video being so short. I thought I was doing my normal recording and I ended it, and when I went to go ahead and put it together and upload it, I realized that I had cut it short. So I'll try to stay with my normal schedule. I can tell when I reach the end of the video time frame that I normally do. I usually try to do 25 to 30 minutes. At 24 and a half minutes or something like that, it ends the size of the video and then it starts another one up. I just put it right back together and you don't even see it. But that's my indication. That's my 3-minute warning. Anyhow, I will try to pay attention more. When these become too routine, I may have to change how I do this because I don't want it to be routine. I'm not repeating myself any more than I have to, but some of it is. I've got a very simple message. Repent, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Okay. I also haven't been saying a lot about the channel. I need you, if you're watching this, if you're this far into it, please like the video. It doesn't cost you anything. Just click the like. You don't have to do anything more because that helps YouTube know that it's important enough to share with others. Of course, if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon and you'll be notified when I release a new video. Okay, and I also have a Telegram account and I have a Patreon account if you want to contribute. Those are going to be both in the description down below. So we need to keep this ministry going, and I've got to do everything I can to get by the filtering. So I might have to start playing with a few more buzzwords or whatever I can. They're filtering me so much that my viewer count is almost in half of what it was just a month ago. So if I need to improve what I'm saying, let me know, and I will try to do that. If I'm doing nothing wrong and they're just filtering me, then I need your help. Be sure to like and share. You can share these. If you do that, it will also hit the algorithm that they use to promote the page. Okay. Now what I've just asked you to do is to conform to the world, and I'm going to tell you not to, because we've got to conform to what YouTube has in the way of requirements. But that's why I've opened up my Telegram account. It's a little bit behind, but I'm trying to catch it up. I may eventually have to totally switch to Telegram, so I'm trying to get used to it, and if you want to get used to it, it's a lot of repeat. And apparently I'm not far enough along with the channel for you to be able to put emotes on it. I think it's got to have enough viewers or something to do that. I'm only at 16 subscribers because it's a duplicate of what's here. I need to figure out how to get out and reach out with more on that account. So that, of course, takes time, and I have to be able to do all that and do my daily videos. And I still go for hikes every day. This is still God's country, and I love to see it. Okay, for this video, it's don't be conformed to the world. The world is going to insist that you conform to it. Ultimately, the Antichrist is going to give you one final ultimatum. If by any chance you're here because you missed the rapture or you weren't really accepting Christ until the final ultimatum, you have to get the mark of the beast. That means you have to sign an agreement basically saying that you're willing to worship the beast. That's your final nail in the coffin if you take that. Don't do that, but that's what they want. They want complete submission. Well, the harlot's going to do all of its thing. The Antichrist is going to come along. They're going to work side by side for just a little bit, and then the Antichrist is going to destroy the harlot because he doesn't want competition. He wants to be solely worshipped. But both of them have the same requirement. They want your 100% cooperation with what they're doing. They're slowly taking over. They're controlling the price of gas. You know, when the price of gas was going up, our fearless leader was saying, I have nothing to do with the price of gas. And it goes down, and he goes, well, thank me for getting the price of gas down. He went to the Saudis to try to get gas from them. He walked away with nothing. They don't like him. They haven't liked him since he's been voting against them for the last, 20, 30 years. He should never have gone, but it was a show. So they could put it on the news and say, our fearless leader has done everything he can to lower the price. And then the price comes down. Well, the price was bound to come down because we got midterm elections and he wants to try to look good. Of course, they're redefining the dictionary now, too. A recession is no longer 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. It's been that way forever in this country, and we've been there a number of times throughout different presidencies, but we've recovered. We're not going to recover from this one because it's man-made, deliberately, and we're still giving out millions of dollars, trillions of dollars. He just submitted to give $1 trillion over 12 years to Iran, our enemy, our stated enemy. We're the great Satan to Iran, and he's given them $1 trillion. If our government wasn't so corrupt, that would be a treasonous act. But it's the harlot. Our fearless leader is a puppet. They like the fact that he doesn't know what he's doing because he can follow instructions very well. And if they have something go wrong, they just blame it on his senility. It's very obvious to those of us that are familiar with the end times. And I'm still smiling. I smile on these things all the time because I am not concerned. We're going to get through it, but we do have to be a little bit, prepare ourselves a little bit. I told you need to be prepping food, and the price of food's going up. They were burning processing plants over the past few months. They're buying up farmland. Bill Gates just bought a whole bunch of farmland in the Midwest, and they're going to basically shut them down. They want us starving and crawling on our hands and knees to the government saying, oh, please feed us. We'll do anything you say. That's what they want. And they're going to get it. Most of the world is not aware of what's happening because the media is not telling them the truth. The media is in the same, running off the same pocketbook that the government is. It's all being controlled by the harlot, Mystery Babylon. They're going to basically destroy our democracy, and then they're going to take over. Now, they can't do it as long as the Constitution's in place. There's only one way to take the Constitution out. Vote it out, which I don't think they're going to have the time to do. They want things happening fast. But you declare martial law, and you can bypass the Constitution. They're breaking the law right and left all the time. The president is not permitted to create laws. It's in our Constitution. He cannot create laws. It's the Congress that's been given the right to create laws, and they don't want to do it. If they do it, they get blamed for it. They can blame the president for everything and stay in power, which is more important to them than anything. The only way these people are going to leave Congress is if they die. And they're going to die. They're going to be killed by the Antichrist. But we're not there yet. We're on a high watch. I'll get to the scriptures here in a bit, but we're on a high watch. The high watch is coming up. 2 days of awe are coming up, I think. 6th and 7th, I'd have to look at my calendar. It's whatever that weekend is. It might be the 7th and the 8th, something like that. There's 2 days. And then we have a little bit of time, and then we start getting into the fall feasts. We've already made it through all the other feasts up to this point. If we get past the days of awe, we go to the fall feast. Which one is it going to be? It's got to be this year. Because if we do the 2029 and back up 7 years, it has to be this year. You know what I'm talking about, so I don't have to cover all that again. And if it's not then we're totally wrong on everything we've been doing, and someone's going to have to go back to the drawing board. But nevertheless, we are in the end times because we're watching the world collapse on purpose. Why is our fearless leader sending money to everywhere? Because when they collapse the dollar, it's going to collapse the other countries too, who are going to be using that dollar. They're not going to worry about going out and increasing their revenue because they're going to have our free money and they're going to spend it. But all of a sudden it's going to be worthless. So it's going to have to happen before they totally spend it. So it's got to be this year or next for the collapse. I think this year. and they're going to be ready to come out with, I don't want to say his name, our fearless leader Money. So his first name, Money. I just saw that. They're trying to call it under his name. But it's going to be cryptocurrency. That's the only way the Antichrist can demand that we buy and sell through his name, essentially. And so we're coming there. They've been using it for a while. They know how to use it now. They're going to take over all the individual ones that are out there, and it's going to all be government controlled. And it's going to be controlled by one central government. So between now and November, and my guess is within the next month, they're going to do something big. We may actually get attacked. They would love that, because war is the best distraction, and it's the best excuse for spending money. All the people that came out of World War II, they basically were almost in recession, and they all had lots of money when it was all over. And then we go in and spend more to rebuild them. So war is good for the people that want to control the world. And we're overpopulated according to them too. Read up on 2030 if you haven't. It's out there. They've got their entire doctrine. And their last meeting said we're so far ahead of schedule, we're going to be done well before 2030. The overthrow of the world is in process. So make sure you have enough food to ride this out. I've got to assume our rapture is soon, but we can't know for sure. Some people are really good at predicting dates, and they haven't predicted one yet, so there's no credibility there. They're good with timelines. I like the timelines of Dr. Barry Ah, who's tried to predict, and I love the timelines of Brenda Weltner, who's got a different look at Revelation and the, quote, tribulation time. And I agree with her on a lot of it. I haven't completely agreed with her because I haven't had time to do the research that she's done. But she's very good at doing the research. She's been doing nothing but study Revelation for the past 5 years. Of course, Dr. Barry Ah has been doing his massive timelines and charts, and he's a little funny to watch. His attempted humor and his poor ventriloquism, it does make it a little entertaining. But he's pretty good with the general calendar. And so his calendar says that we've got 2 days coming up next month that are high watch times for the rapture. They're not guaranteed the time of the rapture, but if you're going to pick a time, those 2 days would be the first ones coming in the near future. Then we have the fall feast. There's got to be a rapture this year. Is it everybody? That's debatable. It's going to be a lot of people, but is it everybody? I don't know. There are going to be kings and priests going up. Is that everybody? We're going to have some fringe Christians that are barely Christians, and we're going to have a lot that Christ is going to say, I don't know you, that claim to be Christian. So we need to make sure the message is consistent for everybody. We don't know for sure when we're going and who's going. Okay. Back to our message. Don't be conformed to this world. Let's start with Romans 12:2. And you should be familiar with all these verses. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. That's what we need to be doing. And it says, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So we need to be renewing our mind daily, because the world's coming out there with their version. The Antichrist has got his eventually. We don't want to be caught sitting on the fence. We want to definitely be on one side or the other. That's why I've basically decided with my ministry here to stop doing everything else I was doing. I'm trying to make enough money through donations, and our cooler donation was a great success. Thank you for everybody that contributed. but I need to also focus on my Patreon account. If I can get a little bit more on that, then I don't need to take any side jobs. I don't want to do that because it distracts from what I'm doing here. If I can expand this to these other social media sites, the ones that aren't filtered, then that would be better for the long run. I'm concerned that eventually, when we're gone, YouTube's going to take down all these Christian sites. Hopefully these other sites will stay up longer because they've already seen where they've put stuff up on a server controlled by the harlot, and then they take their site down. That happened to Telegram. So now they're off on sites where they can't do that, but they can still block everything. It's amazing the power that you've got in what's going on the internet. It's an information source, and they're lying through their teeth, and most of these, quote, filters, these watchdogs are making sure that we don't say anything wrong. What they mean by that is they don't say anything against their narrative. They're evil, pure evil. So be careful on that. I spend very little time on Facebook now. They said that my mirrored site to this YouTube channel was posting hate speech. Well, to the devil, the Bible is hate speech. So I've stopped using them for that. I just do them, I have friends and stuff I'm up there with, but that's about it. And the problem is they're starting to incorporate things. I go through and start looking at videos and pictures, and I can't look at some of this stuff. It's bad. They're just infiltrating it with smut, porn. I'm not watching the videos, but I see the images go by. And so I don't even do that very much anymore. I go and look and see if anybody's posted something that would trigger me. But now I'm getting stuff there. I'm getting hits on my phone number from people that are trying to trap me into clicking on their links. It's getting worse and worse. So I'm kind of pulling back a lot of that. But it's going to get to the point where they're going to basically take all this stuff down. So I've got to get as much as I can over to Telegram. I'm going to have to look at maybe trying to get a new laptop. My workstation power supply is out. It's hard to carry around in my tent. My laptop is so old, it's 10 years old. That's ancient. So I may be doing a fundraiser for that here soon. That way I can actually pull down my YouTube videos. I can't do it on my phone. I need a computer, and I need a laptop would be ideal. The newer ones that don't take a lot of power. Then I could pull it down onto my laptop and upload them over to where they need to be on Telegram. So keep an eye out for that. You guys have been so good to me. I'm overjoyed when I see your comments and your contributions. This ministry needs all the help it can get, because the world, the social media people don't want the word getting out. Okay, so that was Romans 12:2. Let's turn over to John 15:19. And I'm going to start back in 18. So when we start worrying about how we're going to be treated, this is going to apply. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. This is Jesus talking. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you're not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they would keep yours also. So if you're of the world would love its own. Don't be of the world. Don't try to get their favor. They're not going to. Too many churches have been trying to do the feel-good message, and that's why the falling away has been so bad. That's why we have woke churches. They're going to pay the price for their disobedience to God, because they tried to conform to the world. Let's turn over a couple of pages to John 18:36. Again, this is Jesus speaking. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from this here. from this world here. This is before he actually was killed. So when he was tempted by Satan, and Satan said to jump off this cliff, you've got legions of angels that can catch you. Well, Jesus said, I'm not to tempt the Lord thy God. So he didn't do it, obviously. But he could have. And that same number of angels could have protected him from the cross. But he was destined to the cross. He even asked God, if this cup can pass from me, but not my will be done, your will be done. And he went to the cross, because that was the only way he could save us. That's the love that God has for us, that he would send his Son, that Jesus would volunteer to die for us. You're not going to get that from anybody else on this planet, and you're not going to get it from the clone. Satan's Antichrist is a clone. Satan can't do anything original. He only copies what God does. Islam is a clone of Christianity. And it's a cheap clone, because Satan's a cheap clone. And that's why they're always wanting to destroy Christianity, because Satan wants to destroy Christians and Jews. Let's turn over to 1 John. And that's going to be where are we at? Here we go. 2:15. I looked it up twice and forgot to write it down twice. But I had it marked. I don't have as many marks as Barry does in his Bible, and I don't have all the colors. I just use a pen. But it sometimes bleeds through the other side. But anyhow, 1 John 2:15. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it will pass away. But he who does the will of God abides forever. And then it comes up with, little children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that this is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest. That none of them were us. They were going out pretending to be. Every generation has had an Antichrist. I mean, we know Hitler was. Hitler was probably the best one. And he did a good job of removing Jews, but it backfired on him. There was so much sympathy created by it that it got the world united around creating a Jewish state. So Israel was born in 1948, 3 years after the war ended, when we got a chance to see what was going on in Auschwitz and all the other places. They wouldn't have been a Jewish state if they hadn't have done that. God turns bad to good every chance he can. Now, of course, he can generate just straight good, but he will turn bad to good. Just kind of slap in the face to Satan. Because I keep saying, Satan's a jerk. He's like the coyote in the Coyote Roadrunner show. He's always failing, and he won't give up. What's the definition of a moron? Continuing to do the same thing after you fail, after fail, after fail. Satan's a moron. And I can call him names. I don't have to worry about that because God protects me. Jesus protects me. I have the Spirit of God in me to protect me. I have the armor of God to protect me. I have the promise of the gifts. So the devil can't harm us. We can pretty much do for God what needs to be done, and the devil can't come in and bother us at all. And we can tell the devil to take a hike. Now, he's going to try to tempt us, but we follow Jesus' example. Throw Scripture back at him and tell him to get out of our life. Get behind me, Satan. And he has to. Why do you want him to be behind you? Why not just go far enough away Because if he's in front of you, you can still see him and he can distract you. If he gets behind you, you can't even watch what he's doing. If he's behind you, he can point a big gun at you and you can just ignore it because you don't even know what he's doing, because he can't fire it anyway. He can use things to try to scare us, and that's what he's going to try to do with the upcoming seals and trumpets and all. God's going to get his turn. But we'll be out of here. Okay, and then the last scripture that I want to read is Colossians. And I did the same thing with Colossians. I didn't mark it. Colossians 2:3, I think. Where is 1, 2, 3 to the top? Okay, it actually splits between the two pages. That's why I didn't mark it right. Okay. Set your minds on things above, not on things below, is what you're going to find. I still don't have it marked right. I was working on my notes and then they came in to clean the site behind me because this is the weekend and we got people coming in. I'm going to have to find places over the weekend to go record because it's going to be too noisy in here. I don't remember where this was at. Okay, here we are in 3, and I'm going to start in verse 1. Then if you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above and not on things of earth. For you died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. I've said before, we're dead in Christ. This world can't affect us. If God has to bring down individual bowls of manna in front of each Christian, he'll do that. He's not going to let us starve. He'll get us out of here before that's the case. I still keep saying that we've got something major coming soon, and that would be something that would trigger the rapture. The rapture, because it's pulling us out in an instant and a twinkling of an eye, has to be something important, something big. Like I said before, it could be, the nukes in the air coming at us, and we're going to get out of here. It could be anything. It could be massive earthquakes around the world. I'm surprised we didn't get a follow-up earthquake from the one in the Philippines. California is sitting on probably the largest active earthquake faults in the United States. And there's splinters off of it. There's the San Andreas, which is the main one, and then there's splinters that go off of it. And the San Andreas fault goes right down the middle of the San Francisco Bay. So if it trips, San Francisco's toast. And my son lives there, so I'm concerned about that. He's a Christian. I don't really know how practicing he is, but he's a Christian. He's been baptized, so he'll be out of there, but I'm not sure he's following Christ right now. He doesn't communicate with me much anymore. He's living in his own world, but he does live there. And I hope that he would see the signs of San Francisco going down the tubes and move out of there soon. That would be good. I'd pray for that pretty much every day. His wife is from Chicago. Not much better, but at least it's not earthquake prone. I wish he'd come back to Georgia. We've got good tech companies here, and he's got a tech company. He could bring it here and he'd have no trouble finding work. I'm going to start planting seeds. So I got to try to send him a text when I get done with this message. See if I can get him to at least come back here and visit. If he's out of the state when it gets hit with the earthquake, he'd be alive. I know that things are coming. They're going to get tough. We're dead in Christ, so we're immune to this world. And if we die, whether we're die of natural causes or martyred, or part of whatever the is going to happen during this tribulation time frame. We don't know. I am going to do another video on the tribulation again. I need to try to incorporate some of Brenda Weltner's tribulation teachings because I like the way she's teaching it. She has a really good message. If you haven't seen them, don't be put off by the fact that she's tried to predict. By her and Barry both trying to predict, they've stopped predicting and they do more research. And the more research has given us some new insights. So it's important that we don't throw them out just because they tried to predict the date. And when it says we're not going to know the day or the hour, that's not for the rapture. It never has been. Now, it doesn't tell us when the rapture is going to be, but not knowing the day or the hour is not for the rapture. That's for another major event. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'll give it to you later. But there's nothing telling us when the rapture is. So don't confuse second coming, rapture. There's actually 3 raptures in this time frame. We have a 7-year period. The first 3.5 years is not defined as tribulation. We call it, the tribulation time frame, the 7 years. The first half isn't called a tribulation. It says in this world we will have tribulation. And we believe that the seals are going to be opened up in the first half, parts of them. So they've associated it with the tribulation, but it's not necessarily. The second half is the Great Tribulation, and that's the time of the beast. He defiles the temple at the midway point, which triggers the wrath of God. But I don't want to give any more away. Watch for my tribulation one. I'm going to try to study up a little bit more, see if I can, be comfortable in my mind with what Brenda's teachings are. You could just watch hers. She's doing a kind of a recap in the last couple of videos. So go watch those and that will help you when you watch mine. I welcome comments, but too many people are ingrained in the tradition of Revelation. And I gave her a comment last time that most churches teach Revelation 1 and Revelation 21. And a few teach the 2 through 5, the churches. But after that, the rest of it in the middle is prophetic. It's overlapping scriptures. They try to run it linear and it doesn't fit. So they don't really teach it. It's hard to teach. You have to really study it. Now there's a few that teach it, but they're teaching it the old style. And I think the old style, which has been around for many, many years, has some incorrect assumptions to start it. And one of them is that the first half is not part of what we call the tribulation. Only the second half has tribulation directly associated with it. All right. I hope you all have a great weekend coming up. I'm going to start trying to find some places where I can record quieter. I'll probably still have ravens. They're all over the park. But I'm going to do some hiking again because I haven't been hiking for a couple of days. And we'll see what we can do. I will be back in my hiking gear and not have a collared shirt on. These are too hot to hike in. By the time I get back, they're soaking wet. Sorry for the description, but that's what it's like hiking in Georgia in the summer. I think yesterday it got to 86, but it said the feels like temperature of 104 because of the humidity. So I've been staying in my tent, and we got just a tad of rain yesterday. We might get another tad today. We need more rain, but that's coming. That'll be this fall when the weather turns bad. And that's when you want to go north, get away from the tornadoes. But they have tornadoes up in Michigan, so you can't escape the weather completely. But I'm looking forward to the cool air. All right. That's all I have for this. Stay close to God. Try not to do anything to take you from God. I've stopped playing video games. I've stopped watching movies that aren't about God. I watch godly movies and I'll listen to godly music. But I've turned the world off. I don't want anything coming in to influence me because then I'm programmed with that for a little while. What goes in your ears and your eyes programs your brain for a little bit. I'm trying to stay focused on this ministry and on what God wants us to do, because I believe that we are that close. And you need to start thinking about that. Talk to God, see if He wants you to be that close with Him. He'd love for all of us to be doing His work when He comes back. That would please Him if we could all be caught doing His work. You know, the Master, when He returns to the mansion, finds His servants doing the work that He left them to do. They will be rewarded for that. It says somewhere that, you know, if we're caught doing that, we're guaranteed the crown of life for that. Now, we're guaranteed it anyway, being Christians, but if we're really Christians, we're going to be doing His work. Okay. Have a great weekend. It's getting close, people. Don't wander off. Blessings.